Good morning, everyone. Good evening, and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzomus, and you are welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empath free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal and self-growth. And if any of that resonates with you, invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share the video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. Now, a lot of black sheeps, scapegoats all over the world, there is one particular question they have in mind, including me in those early days. That's the first thing I used to think about. And the question will be, will the toxic family unit destruct once the scapegoat leaves the family? So will they destruct? Will they self-destruct? And of course, eventually, there is no really proper statistics out there. There is no a lot of information out there. So I'm really going to talk from my own experience. I'm going to talk from the personal things I've seen myself. And of course, you black sheeps out there, you can always join us in this group, in this family. Tell us about your experiences in the section below. Let us know what has been your experience. Now, you see, personally, I did not know anything about dysfunctional families. So for me, basically, and again, I must also warn you guys that this video is also very triggering. So for most of you guys who are just waking up from dysfunctional families, you may find some of these things triggering. I do not do that on purpose. You guys already know this is the channel of truth. So I bring to you on this channel nothing but the truth. Now, I wasn't aware about dysfunctional families because in those days I'd awakened from the narcissistic abuse, the relationship, the marriage, and eventually later on that thing spread onto my family, and I found out and I figured out later on that I'd been always involved with the dysfunctional family, and that is exactly when I woke up from the fact that I'd also actually been a scapegoat in that unit. And the moment I found out that I was a scapegoat, it took me by surprise. I was very, very overwhelmed, ladies and gentlemen. I was extremely overwhelmed. I did not know what to do. I did not know what to think. I did not know who to speak to, because in those moments I noticed that actually I was involved in something very, very serious, and it was important for me to first of all step out of this unit. I really needed to understand what exactly was going on. I needed to know all those things that were being hidden from me for quite a good number of times. So I had to first of all get out of that unit and first of all find out what was going on. So there was a sibling of mine who was very, very seriously ill in hospital. And that sibling of mine is an empath. The sibling is an empath. So eventually I noticed that that sibling was an empath. And in those days I didn't yet awaken from being a black sheep. So I reached out to other family members. I told them, hey, listen guys, that sibling of ours who is actually dying in hospital, in those days it was very, very serious. We actually, me personally, I thought in my mind we could even actually lose the sibling. So I was reaching out to other family members and I was telling them, hey, listen guys, this individual actually, you guys have to be aware, because in those days I discovered narcissism. So I told them, you guys listen, you guys have to be aware that that particular individual in the hospital who seems to be dying at the moment, that particular individual is involved with the narcissist. So I was letting the family know this particular guy was involved with the narcissist, and that's the reason why actually all this suffering had been happening behind the scenes until the moment reached whereby he actually had to be hospitalized because of very serious complications with the health. And of course, like you guys already know, you're dealing with a dysfunctional family, which I didn't know at that time. Everybody went quiet. I was telling them, hey, listen guys, we need to do some action. You know what I mean? All I needed for me, the only thing I needed from the family was to stand behind me, and then me, I would go and take the action, because I was particularly knowing this particular individual who was involved with that guy. I knew that particular individual, and I would actually confront that particular individual and family, and I would see if I would rescue that our sibling from that unit, from that entanglement. So everybody went quiet. People went quiet. Nobody was talking. People, they started to say, oh, you know, you need to keep quiet because, you know, you just leave it the way it is. You know what I mean? So I was involved. I also involved the narcissistic parent. I involved other siblings in the family. I told them, guys, we need to do something. There is a brother of ours is dying in hospital. We need to take action. That brother is going through narcissistic abuse. And those guys went quiet. They didn't want to listen to me. So out of frustration, I got very frustrated because the more I talked, is the more they ignored my calls, and the more they ignored my calls to wake up and to understand that actually they need to stand behind. We need to come together as a family, because me in those days I thought that, okay, so this is a family. We always wished each other well, so we had to come together and actually fight for our sibling, and nobody was listening to me. So I got very frustrated in that time, and that is exactly when I decided to exit the family unit. So I got myself together and I went out of the unit. And we're talking about more than 1.5 years ago. Guys, I can guarantee you I've never looked back. From that time, I've never looked back. I've continued to go on with my life. And until then, I've also decided to find out exactly what was going on with them. Of course, we have got minimum contact, of course. But eventually, there were some facts that I came to conclusion when I got out of the unit, because I continued to monitor this unit at a distance. You know what I mean? I wasn't in there, but I was monitoring them at a distance just to see the patterns much more clear to me. So when I went out of the unit, that is exactly when I started doing research, and I started finding out a lot of things, a lot of deep hidden secrets. And I figured out that, okay, so now I get it. I had also been involved with the dysfunctional family. So that's when I got out, and I got awakened to the fact that I'd also been a scapegoat. One of the things you will first of all realize is that when you leave the unit, there is family members who is going to become very uncomfortable, because you as a black sheep, you have been a very, very strong foundation in that unit. So you have been one or the other, without you even knowing it, on a very subconscious level. You have been keeping the family going. You know what I mean? So they have been used to doing all these things to you, abusing you in a very subliminal way that you wouldn't really understand. They have been used to pointing fingers at you, punishing you, isolating you, discriminating you, and all these kind of things that fall along with the people that actually are scapegoats in those families. So the unit, that is the moment I noticed that the very first thing I noticed in those units, I got hoovers. So the first hoovers came in. So when the hoovers came in, there was family members in those units, and I'm talking about the flying monkeys, because in that moment I noticed, okay, there was a narcissist in that family. There was a lot of toxic family members in that unit. So I had already uncovered all these secrets. And that's when now I knew who the flying monkeys was, who the golden child was, who the narcissist was, and all these kind of dynamics. And that is when I got the first hoover. So the hoover, usually when you live in a toxic family unit, the hoover is usually going to come in by the flying monkeys. They're going to try to come in very, very quickly, because they now notice there's a disruption in that unit, and they somehow feel the stability of the family is coming to crumble. So now they are coming out and trying to convince you that, hey, listen, you need to come very quickly, because, you know, we miss you, we want you to be around there, you know, these things like that, all these dynamics. But the only thing you will never hear from those individuals is that they're not going to ask you the reason why you left. They always are going to convince you to come back to the unit, but they will never actually ask you why exactly did you leave from the family, because on a very subconscious level, they actually deeply know the reason why you left that unit. But none of them wants to talk about it, because again, remember, a lot of those families, they try to preserve the family. So these flying monkeys and all these dynamics, all these people who are in those units, they are trying to preserve their family as much as they can. So they try to make sure that everything stays in place the way it has been. But now that you have gone out, remember now, at that moment, the narcissistic parent at the top is becoming very, very aggressive. They are starting to point fingers at everybody. They're starting to scream. They're going into rage. They almost want to fight with anybody. If actually somebody is in their vicinity in that moment, they might even sometimes start to be physically abusive, because they are extremely devastated by the fact that the scapegoat has left the unit. And now at that point, there is nobody they can be able to point the fingers and to blame, and all these kind of games that have been going on behind the scenes. So they go into rage, and so the family now notices that actually the narcissistic parent is very, very uncomfortable with this situation. So now what will happen now is that a very big smear campaign is going to happen in the unit. So there's going to be a smear campaign whereby the narcissistic parent is going to start telling them, hey, listen, the guy that guy is up to that guy is that one, that woman is this, that woman is that. So a lot of stuff is going to be talked about you behind your back. They are going to put all the blames that you've ever thought about in that unit, that you are the problem guy, you are the chaotic one, you are the problematic one, you are this and that. A lot of stuff is going to be talked about you. Most of the cases, they will do that without your presence. But on the other subliminal level, on the very subconscious level, there will be few members who are always going to come around and try to suck you, you know, come around and, we miss you, we want to be with you, we miss your company, we miss this. But behind the scenes, they have actually been talking about you. And also, a lot of smear campaign has been happening behind your back. So they've been putting a lot of BS on you, pointing fingers like that, like they've always done. Only that the difference is, this time you're not there around. You're not around there to listen to it, and even sometimes to take into accountability and consideration. So what happens is that now, during the smear campaign, a time comes whereby they now feel that, okay, so the smear campaign has been happening for a couple of months. It has happened for the first week, for the second week, maybe for the third week, and now there's nothing more to talk about. So they're looking around themselves, and okay, so they are thinking, this guy is gone. We most likely believe he's gone. We have tried to hoover him back into the family. He has refused, or she has refused, and they are gone. So they believe at some point that you are really gone and you're never going to come back to that unit. So now what happens is that now they start to turn against each other. You know what I mean? So sometimes you'll find the brother turning against the sister, or the sister turning against another sister. So, or sometimes the family, the father, because remember now at this moment, the father or the mother of that unit who has been the narcissist is completely starving for fuel. They are extremely starving, and they need some kind of a fuel. They need somebody to come in very, very quickly and take up that place of a scapegoat, because they believe at some point you're not coming back, or maybe sometimes they believe you have temporarily gone. So usually what happens is that they now start to feed off each other. They start to blame each other for funny things. They start to point fingers. This one point the fingers at that one. So the flying monkeys, now they start to fight within each other. And now that is where you're going to see a lot of separation will start to happen within the unit. You're going to see now the brother gets very distant away from the sister gets very distant from the father, and a lot of things are going to happen within, whereby there's going to be a lot of separation, because like I've told you guys, the scapegoat, when you are there, a lot of them, they will not recognize that actually you've been somewhere holding that family together. It is until you finally sign out of that unit, that is when they are going to know that place that you've always held within the family. It is going to come into accountability, because now they are going to be able to see it in front of their face. There's a possibility this guy, whatever it was talking about, was the truth. He or she used to tell us the truth. We didn't listen, and now look, the person is left. They are not ever coming back, and now the narcissistic parent is in extreme rage, because now the narcissistic parent is completely attacking each and everybody in that unit. They are attacking the brothers, the sisters, the uncles, everybody that comes into their presence. So what usually happens is that the narcissistic parent now, because they are starving for fuel, so what they will now do is that they will try to figure out a person that they can replace in that unit. So for me, in my case, the experience that I've got in my case, it was a lost child. So you guys have seen my video about the lost child. So there was this lost child who was also part of the unit, but they had always ignored, and that is exactly the lost child who was dying in hospital. So that's why now the narcissistic parent had to very, very quickly suck in the lost child, because usually what they do, the narcissistic parent, they want to pick out the weakest individual. So in their mind, they always think that these little empaths who are not usually talking, firing back or talking back or things like that, they are the weakest individual. So the narcissistic parent, usually, they'll try to suck in. So they sucked in that particular lost child back into the family after so many periods of years. Guys, we're talking about 6, 7 years or 8 years or more. So the lost child now was sucked back into the family, because now the narcissistic parent needs to find out who are they going to dump their garbage. Because remember, those individuals, they are dealing with a lot of garbage on their mind. They have got to find somebody that they have got to dump their garbage onto. So if that person doesn't exist, those people, they are going to implode, they are going to explode, they are going to destruct immediately. So they suck into that member of the family back into the family, which for me, I've told you guys, it was the lost child. The lost child had to come back into the family and start all of a sudden now that's why you see the dysfunction. Guys, let me tell you something. When we're talking about dysfunctional families, we really know what we're talking about. So that is where now you're going to see, all along you've been talking to these individuals about somebody. A person is dying, a person is suffering, this is happening, they're not listening. Now all of a sudden you've stepped out of that unit, you've gone away, and now all of a sudden that person is coming into the family. Now they're sucking him back into the family to be a part of the family, after so many years of everybody actually forgetting about him, everybody never thinking about him or her. Now they're coming back into the unit. So most of the times it is because the narcissistic parent, because of the rage and because of the feeling they have within them, they want to explode. Because first of all, the black sheep, when they leave, they really live far away, and they go very far away from that unit, and they are not actually reachable. So most of the times the narcissistic parent, they are looking around them, they are dying in shame, you know what I mean, because they are trying to cover up the shame. Now what they do now, they try to find somebody, who are they going to put in that position, you know what I mean? So they need at least a scapegoat who is going to be taking up all that BS and all that crap and all this kind of things. So they're trying to find somebody that is going to take up that position, and most of the time it's very, very difficult, because a lot of these flying monkeys, they have usually not been used to this kind of abuse. So when you go out as a scapegoat on that unit, the flying monkeys will start to feel the effect, because at some point in time, remember that when the narcissistic parent is suffering, or they're into rage, or they're starving of fuel, sometimes they're going to turn to these flying monkeys, and they're going to start telling them very, 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 very the things that they've never had before, the abuse they've never seen before, and all this kind of things. So they are going to start to be abused directly, because there's nobody else to abuse. So the narcissistic parent now turns to the flying monkeys, and that is exactly when the flying monkeys, they understand that this individual left for a reason. This particular person, the scapegoat, they left for a reason. They had an obvious reason why actually they left that unit, and now they're going to start to see the abuse playing in front of them and understand this thing was true, it is true, although even most of the cases, like they say, they will usually live in denial, so they will never come out openly to accept that yes, probably the scapegoat has been right all along. Whatever the scapegoat was saying was the truth. This is what they were telling us. We weren't listening, so they will never usually accept the truth. But on this very subconscious level, they are now starting to understand and to see the abuse play in front of them, because now they are the ones directly involved with the narcissistic parent. They are dealing with the parent, and now they have to take all this BS that is going on in that unit. So basically what happens is that due to that separation, what is going on is like a lot of people are going to start going west, going south, going north. A lot of people are going to start to separate themselves away from the family. They will usually be with the family, but not on a very open scale like they have always been. You know what I mean? So they will be subconsciously, in a hidden way, be part of the unit, but they will also not be directly involved with the unit. So because now they can see that there's probably a problem in that unit and something has to be solved, something has got to be done about it. But remember, in that family, I can guarantee you guys 110%, the black sheep, they are the strongest individual in their family. That is the reason why the black sheep, they are the people who have been punished the most. So because a lot of black sheep, they see, they understand, they get it, they figure it out. They can see all of these things happening. Usually they've been talking about them. Nobody was listening. You know what I mean? So now, those individuals, they are going to start to have a lot of problems with each other. They are going to run away from each other. A lot of them may decide to abandon the family. Some of them may abandon the family, not in an open way, like the black sheep has done, the scapegoat has done. They may decide to stay away from the family as far as they can. Sometimes you will see a lot of family meetings whereby there is usually some meetings going on. Maybe there's a party, there is an occasion going on in the house or at home. Sometimes you may see them coming around, but usually they're going to be very quiet, because on a very subconscious level, they know the whole story of the black sheep and the scapegoat that has left. So on a very subconscious level, they are really watching out for the narcissistic parent and waiting for the next bomb to hit. You know what I mean? They don't know where it's going to come from, but they really know that at some point the shots may start coming out from the narcissistic parent. So they are a little bit distant from the narcissistic parent. And usually the narcissistic parent also gets very isolated, because now they have got to explain a lot of stuff to the other members. Why exactly did that person leave? What made him or what made her to leave? And normally the narcissistic parent, for them to defend themselves and to preserve themselves, they usually telling them a lot of lies. Oh, you don't worry about that person. That person from the very beginning, we knew they were crazy, we knew they were this. So they will always go on with this kind of blames that are going on with the unit, because they really know that the person is not coming back. Now, in this video, I want to let you guys know, as a black sheep, as a scapegoat in those units, I'll guarantee you 110%, when you have left a dysfunctional family, you never go back to that family. It does not matter what happens. It does not matter who convinces you. It does not matter who tries to bribe you. It doesn't matter what is going on. Guys, let me tell you something. In most of the cases, as painful as it is, that's why I've said that this video is going to be a little bit triggering. So as painful as it is, sometimes you may even have to miss funerals. There may be family members who are dying in that unit, or something happens to the narcissistic parent or things like that. You are going to sometimes have to miss those funerals. You're not going to attend. It's going to be a little bit painful, guys, I can guarantee you. But let me tell you something, as a black sheep, you ever do a mistake of going back to those units, it is going to become very bad with you. A lot of times they're going to punish you more than they did before. They will love bomb you, of course, when you come. A little bit of sweetness here and there. Then, of course, eventually, because they already know on a very subconscious level, you are a person supposed to be taking all the BS. So when you always come back to those families, it is going to start over again. It is even sometimes going to be worse than this, because now they are punishing you because of the fact that you have actually left the unit at some point, and you've abandoned them to suffer the consequences of you leaving the unit. So most of the times when you leave, guys, you have got to leave, continue going on and working on yourself, healing, because we already know that narcissistic abuse is very intense. So when you're going out there, guys, you have got to understand healing is a priority. You cannot sacrifice for your healing to anything else. You are supposed to focus everything you are supposed to do in your power to make sure that you heal. Find all the mechanisms in place. The coaches are there. The coaches around there. The therapists are there. Anything you can do to heal, because it takes a lot of time to heal when you're living in a narcissistic family unit. It is very, very difficult. But I can guarantee you, on the other hand, those individuals, they are suffering. Number one, there's a lot of separation. The family is falling apart. A lot of people are being blamed. They are now, a lot of people are losing their positions. Like, for example, the golden child is losing the position. Sometimes they are trying to put the golden child into the role of the scapegoat. The golden child cannot handle that. They are also facing it very rough, and it's going on very intensive with them as well in their own lives. And of course, on top of other things that are breaking down in the family, because remember, I've told you guys, as much as they may not want to tell you this, the black sheep, you guys are always the winners. You are the strongest. You are the chosen ones. So when you leave, everything will never stay the same. I can guarantee you guys, you don't even want to know that. You don't want to look back in time, and you don't want to see what is happening, because it is usually going to break you into pieces when you keep on looking back and seeing what they are doing, what is up to them, or what's up with them, or where they are going, or things like that, it is usually not going to end well with you, because it is going to make you feel some kind of a way. So you go out, you stay out, you work on yourself, and you never ever, for whichever reason, return to a dysfunctional family, because things are never going to end well with you. Everything is going to come back to the beginning, and the abuse is going to start all over again. Be rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, the family will never stay the same. There will never be peace. There will be a lot of blaming. There will be a lot of fighting. There will be a lot of separation. There will be a lot of torture. There will be a lot of things that you can never think about in your life that are happening. And a lot of people, they will usually come to that awakening. Some of them will do, even if they may sometimes deny it, but they will come to that awakening that you have always been the black sheep, you have always been the scapegoat, and you have always been the truth teller, and you have always been the chosen one. They will come to that awakening, but that is up to God and up to them to come to that awakening themselves. You don't have to be a part of it, and you have got nothing to do with it. So until then, guys, let me know what you think about this video. Of course, like I've said, you guys give us your own opinion, what you have experienced, the things you have seen, what has been your journey as a black sheep and as a scapegoat in those units. And until then, I'll get back to you in my next one. Book a session with me, donate and support to this channel. All my Cashapp and PayPal, you'll find them in the description below. And let us know what you think in the comment section below. Much love and blessings, guys. And Desmond signing out. And peace. Catch you in my next one.